he saw the calf, this would be the idol God that they had made, and the dancing. So Moses' anger became hot, and he cast the tablets out of his hands and broke them at the foot of the mountain. So Moses saw something. What he saw was the rebellious, the adulterous act of the people, and he became so angry that he threw down the tablets that God had given him for his instructions and covenant, and he broke them at the foot of the mountain. Then, of course, he interceded and went through some things. And in chapter 34, God speaks to Moses in verse 1 and makes this statement. And the Lord said to Moses, cut 2 tablets of stone like the first ones, and I will write on these tablets the words that were on the first tablets, which you broke. So in essence, God is telling Moses, I am going to restore the exact things and instructions, dream and vision that I gave you in the beginning, and you broke them. He says, get 2 tablets of stones, and I am going to write identically on this second set what I wrote on the first set. I started here because I want you to see it's the nature of God to restore whatever you've broken that God gave you. Now, if you gave yourself something, God is not obligated nor covenant to have to restore that. But if it's something that God has given, it's something that God wants in your life, and for whatever reason, of course, we see here Moses got angry, and it's not my desire here to build a lot of typology and all of that. I simply want to emphasize the fact that what he got angry and broke, God told him that he was going to give it back to him again, because the people certainly wouldn't be able to go anywhere without instructions, and you can't go anywhere without the dream that God wants you to have or has given you. All right? So we'll be back to this section before this is over. But for today, we're going to be leaving this section. But know in your mind, everything I say from this point on, that we know that God is a God that believes in restoring the originals. And that God is a God that will actually do it to minute detail. Now, before it's over, I'm going to obviously talk about steps into actually recovering. If you've broken something, thrown it down and broken it, and you think God it's over with, you think God has no interest in it, I'm going to share with you basically what we need to go through. But this morning I want to talk about dreams itself, just dreams, and some components that's involved. And of course, no greater place or example, life example than a dream than Joseph. And if you'll turn to Genesis chapter 37. Genesis chapter 37. I'm going to read verses 1 through 11. However, to get a gist of the whole flow of dreams, the things that we encounter in dreams and all the dynamics of it, you obviously will need to read the rest of the book of Genesis. Genesis 37, beginning at verse number 1. Now Jacob dwelt in the land where his father was a stranger, in the land of Canaan. This is the history of Jacob. Joseph, being 17 years old, was feeding the flock with his brothers, and the lad was with his sons of Bildad and the sons of Zilpah, his father's wives, and Joseph brought a bad report of them to his father. Now Israel loved Joseph more than all his children, because he was the son of his old age. Also he made him a tunic or a coat of many colors. But when his brothers saw that their father loved him more than all his brothers, they hated him and could not speak peaceably to him. Now Joseph had a dream, and he told it to his brothers, and they hated him even more. So he said to them, "Please hear this dream which I have dreamed. There we were, binding sheaves in the field. Then behold, my sheaf arose and also stood upright, and into your sheaves stood all around, and bowed down to my wheat." And his brothers said to him, "Shall you indeed reign over us? Or shall you have dominion over us?" So they hated him even more for his dreams and for his words. And he dreamed still another dream, and told it to his brothers, and said, "Look, I have dreamed another dream. And this time the sun, the moon, and even the 11 stars bowed down to me." So he told it to his father and to his brothers. And his father rebuked him and said to him, "What is this dream that you have dreamed? Shall your mother and I and your brothers indeed come to bow down to the earth before you?" And his brothers envied him, but his father kept the matter in his mind. Now, understanding something about the nature of dreams, go back to verse number 3. And it talks about how Israel loved Joseph more than all of his children because he was the son of his old age. Remember Rachel, whom he really loved.